Hello and welcome. Today, author R.T. Kagels shares another inspiring story from the Bedtime Stories with Heart and Soul series, written to help you slow down, reflect, and end the day with a little more peace. Now, here's the author.
Hello, my name is author R.T. Kagels. Today's story is called The Lobster Boat Trip. So, let's get started. I awoke from a dream that took place sometime around 2012. I was the skipper of an inshore lobster boat, about a 45-footer. The boat had a sturdy fiberglass hull and it glistened with a glossy and shiny white pearl paint job. I must have been about 20 miles or so offshore and heading back in. It was a beautiful, clear day. I could see the coastline clearly from my location. That was just south of the Point Judith Lighthouse off the southern coast of Rhode Island. The sea was relatively calm, with 1 to 3 foot gentle swells of rolling waves. There I was at the helm of this fit and trim vessel, having the time of my life. At least I thought I was. Maybe it was because I believed I had a good catch for the day, and I was heading back to the port of Galilee in Narragansett. That's where I would sell the catch to a wholesaler at the docks. For a moment, I was daydreaming. Whether I had a deckhand on board with me, or did I catch everything by myself? That was certainly odd. But this was just out of a dream. So I looked around, and there sat my young daughter on the aft gunwale. But, you might ask, what is an aft gunwale? Maybe I should have just said she was sitting on the stern. That's the back end of the boat for those who may not know such nautical lingo. Anyway, there she was sitting there, just smiling at me. So I said, "What are you smiling about, and how long have you been there?" Without a pause, she said she was very happy to be with me out on the water, and that she had been on the boat since we left. Yeah. Very funny," I said. "I was just wondering how long you were sitting there." She just smiled at me. As we kept heading for shore, I was wondering what kind of catch we actually had, now that I think of it. I remember my daughter and I working together steadily all day since the early morning, pulling up lobster pots. Each string had a buoy on each end and a group of 20 lobster pots connected in between. 50 feet of rope between each. In total, we had 25 strings, equaling 500 lobster pots in all. Usually, we would pull half in one day, and the rest the next day. Then, we would take a few days off to recharge and give the lobsters a chance to find the bait. The only downside was dealing with the bait. It smelled pretty bad, but the lobsters seemed to love it. So I would pull the pots up with a hydraulic winch, and we would work together to ban the keeper lobsters. Then my daughter would bait the traps and I would stack them on the deck until the entire string was ready. It was hard and demanding work, but we enjoyed what we were doing as a team. As we were getting closer to shore, we entered the breakwater which protected the port of Galilee. When we came alongside the unloading dock, my daughter secured the lines with steady hands. She was eager to get on with presenting our catch to the loadmaster. He lowered a large bucket that could hold about 2 bushels of banded lobsters at a time. It wasn't about the count. It was the total weight, minus the weight of the bucket. Then, you take the total weight times the current price per pound, depending on various weight range calculations, and that was what you earned for your gross wholesale income. After we finished, he gave me a credit slip for what we earned that would be deposited into my business account. As we arrived at our shoreline home further up the inlet, I guided the boat into position alongside our dock. Once again, my daughter quickly secured the lines, positioned the boat fenders, and started cleaning up the boat. With great anticipation, she asked me how much she had earned from today's catch. She was eager to spend it. So, I asked her what the payout formula was. Without hesitation, she stated 1 share for the boat, 1 for maintenance, 1 share for the captain, and 1 for the deckhand, which was her. That meant 1/4 of the total income. Her eyes were glowing with anticipation and excitement as I took out the credit pay slip from the loadmaster. I was amazed when I read the total and saw that it was $3,250. I had no idea it was that much. That meant that she would be getting $812.50. Most kids were earning about $250 a week. When she realized what that meant, she started jumping up and down. I was happy to see her excitement. I also told her that we would be discussing some new things I wanted to teach her about managing her money. For a moment, she put on a little frown, so I told her to enjoy the moment and we would discuss that later. And for the rest of the evening, she just kept thinking about what she would do with the money she earned. The next day, we sat down and I explained my own version of personal and business finance economics Dad 101. I explained that there is no perfect formula. although there are some that are better than others. Create a plan. First, determine your short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. Not an easy task, but a very important part. Also, you should review your goals at least 4 times a year. If something is working, then repeat it. If it's not working, then change it and look for a way to improve it. Now let's look at how I use financial formulas. Calculate what portions of income go into certain budget accounts. Remember, this is my personal budget. Second, out of my gross income, I already know approximately what my cost of living is. Third, I deduct it. From my gross income, I deduct my cost of living, and that is my net income. Fourth, here is where the plan comes in. I take 50% of the net income and put that in an account to build capital reserve for future personal and business investment. Things like buying a home, starting or expanding a business. Fifth, of the remaining 50% of the net income, I take 25% and put that in an account for emergencies or backup capital reserves. And sixth, the final 25%. I use that for myself. Things like taking a vacation, buying something special, or going out to a restaurant. The choice is up to me. However, I never take more than my personal money out of the other budget accounts. You may be wondering, how did this turn into a lesson about economics? Well, the answer is simple. This story is really about the wonderful relationship between me and my daughter. Working together was just the start. It is also about the opportunities parents have to encourage, develop, nurture, and guide their children. That is where legacy and heritage begins. What you can appreciate in the moment and pass on to the next generation. And so for me, it was about sharing precious moments with my child. Thank you for joining me.
Hello again. As we come to a close, remember to like, subscribe, and follow us so you don't miss a single adventure. Thank you for spending this heartfelt moment with us. Until next time, we hope this story brought you a little peace as the day comes to a close.